So in case you missed it, I don't know how you would have missed it, especially if you're on Twitter. Jordy did a stream where he contacted somebody that knew Tammy. They call him, what do they call her? The feeder, whatever they call her. Um, they were friends when they were growing up and they turned into frenemies. The ex-wife is involved and apparently she was keeping the ex-wife in the basement and apparently there was some domestic charges. So this is what ALR is going to be addressing, and I'll be inserting some of Jordy's clips in here to give a little bit of context.
Tommy's character because of a reaction channel who is so hungry for views and money and hot tea that they have created a whole false storyline that has thousands and thousands of people believing it. It's unfair to me, and it's unfair to Tommy. This is not the first time this reaction channel has done this. They have platformed a few people as long as they were willing to spill tea and share whatever could cause me or other people in my life to look bad for their benefit.
So for a refresher, remember a couple months ago, it came out that ALR was seeing a married woman who eventually ended up getting a divorce because the whole thing came out, and then her ex-best friend, Alexis, came on and spilled some tea on ALR. Even now that back together has been best friend, it's all high schoolish, but it's internet high school. So that's a quick refresher right there.
There have been some serious misrepresentations made in a recent video on that reaction channel about an extremely painful chapter in Tommy's life. The video, which talks about a domestic violence situation involving Tommy and her ex, fails to include important facts, so it paints a false and harmful narrative. And I want to be very clear.
It's odd. I said, it sure sounds like Dib was put through hell. She really was, but she was also battling something. And Emily, being in the psychiatric field, knew exactly how to get under her skin. I think she manipulated her so bad and took advantage of her being in such a low place mentally at the time. Now, this is what I speculated on the other night.
This is the section of the clip that I took from Oh Lordy is Jordy's live stream. So apparently this is the section that ALR is responding to that I'm going to be playing here. I'm not going to play the whole entire thing. If you want to see the whole entire video, go to Oh Lordy is Jordy's channel, and I'll be linking that in the description. I honestly did not watch the whole thing. I just saw the story. I was like, wasn't interested, but now I'm interested. But yeah, I will be linking that in the description.
That's what I said the other night. Knowing the type of people, knowing the type of vulnerability that these morbidly obese people have mentally, to use that against them or to use it as a way to be toxic or get the upper hand in the relationship, that's just gross. That's just gross. So, this person kind of verifies what I speculated on earlier this week. Knowing what you know and knowing how mentally vulnerable someone is that was battling something, could be anything under this gray box, was battling something. Let me just... all of the arguing, all of that, I mean, it can't. So this was a highly dysfunctional relationship, and this was not on an even playing field. Amber Lynn has met her toxic match. She really has. That's a good way of putting it. Amber Lynn has met her toxic match.
Again, for context, this story is told from a third-person perspective. The person that's telling the story is, again, the person that Jordy contacted on TikTok, and telling the story based on that knowledge. So, as I always say, we don't know what happened. I don't know what to believe. The story is getting crazier and crazier. But basically, the woman that was involved in this domestic situation with Tommy was this woman's ex-wife that left her for Tommy. So The person that has been texting back and forth with Jordy, that's who it is, and they're the ones telling the story.
I knew Dib pretty well. I truly don't think in my heart that she could have done what she did without being seriously provoked. So going back to the night of the domestic charges, going back to this, everything that happened that night that resulted in what is up on the screen right now, this was all due to her being seriously provoked.
You see, this part of the commentary here, his commentary kind of like gave me the ick, because he is taking this as gospel that the woman was provoked. Not that it was a mutual combat that went horribly, but immediately, no, the woman had to have been provoked. And it's kind of like the story with the woman being forced to stay in the basement. People have took that and run with it. Now the woman was changed in the basement. It's getting crazy. But I just wish he would have left his own personal opinions out of this one, because we were not there. We don't know the full detail unless the other person that was involved comes forward and explain the whole situation. Yeah, that part really gave me the ick.
This wouldn't have happened otherwise unless things got really bad. So if you push someone and put them in a very, remember, she had diabetes at the time. Do we think that the diabetes was controlled? What the other person said to me was that she had diabetes. She was having to sleep in the basement because either she took up too much room on the bed or her snoring was too annoying. So I can imagine that having diabetes that isn't being taken care of or maintained properly, that could maybe mess you up, or maybe lead you to do things that you wouldn't normally do otherwise. So all of this happened on the screen due to a result of, a pretty toxic environment she was in. So I just basically said to her, why would you feed the diabetic protein shakes? She went on to say, this is also crazy to me. I'll never be able to wrap my head around how any of this is attractive to her. I also feel bad for the kid. So this is what the original person that I was talking to, their bestie, had to say regarding the situation. This person, the bestie, basically said that they know this person. They knew this person well. They're not in contact anymore. But it got to the point where she was being seriously provoked. She was in a very vulnerable state, and it got bad. So I think that one night, Dib had just had it. I think that she just had it. Obviously, these two argued a lot. Obviously, they got into a lot of altercations, but there was just a camel that broke the straw's back, so to speak. And she just had enough, and it got to a breaking point.
You guys, you see what I mean? I wish we'd leave his personal feelings about Tommy and Ambie out of this, because we were not there. We don't know what happened. It could have been a mutual combat situation that got out of hand. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not defending anybody per se. I'm just saying, like, on my standpoint, watching him and his reaction on this parts that make me feel icky. We were not there. And again, not defending anybody. Everyone in this story is a crappy person, let's be honest. Everybody involved in this story they're all unlikable and come across really shitty. But I just wish that he would have left his own personal feelings out of this whole entire story. So anyways, that was my the little clip that I took, so you guys have a little bit more of a reference point on why ALR is making this video, addressing the specific part of Jordy's live stream That was it. And now we're going to continue with LR.
So it paints a false and harmful narrative. And I want to be very clear. Tommy is the victim here, not the one at fault. The details in the video were based on inaccurate and incomplete information from a third party with a clear agenda. Someone who has openly stated that their goal was to get revenge for their own personal reasons, and even admitted that they've tried to get revenge in the past. This kind of victim shaming is not only misleading, it's downright disgusting. It wasn't a simple incident in a garage. As you can see from the charges listed about Tommy's ex, there was a weapon involved. A weapon. Please just think about that for a minute. With multiple ways to escape a garage, Tommy couldn't. Think about why.
Ambie, honey, blink twice, we're being held hostage in the basement. Ah ha ha. I kid. I made a joke. So, Amberlynn, this is where you messed up. If Tommy's just concerned about this whole thing, your best option would have been to have Tommy come on camera, sitting next to you, and have her explain her side of the story to everybody. Even though this, I don't even know why this was even out there. But she should have been there to explain her side of the story instead of you doing it, because now you are also trying to make her into a victim, and you know people are not going to go for that. Because to me, it seems like there's the side of the story that the friend is telling, and then there's the side of the story that you're telling for Tommy. There is gray in the middle, somewhere there where the truth lies. So Tommy should have been the one sitting here next to you, explaining the whole thing to everybody. Maybe you might get some people on your side. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I also feel like you went the wrong way about this whole entire explanation. Yes, and apparently there was a pew involved, and somebody was being held hostage in the garage. Somebody was being held hostage in the basement, and somebody else was being held hostage in the garage. I can't with this story. This story is getting crazier and crazier as the day goes by.
The truth is that her abuser was charged with felony charges for their actions, and Tommy has spent years working on healing and working through trauma her ex caused. A lot of people are saying that Tommy must have provoked her into holding her hostage with a weapon for hours. If that were true, Tommy's ex would not have been convicted. Provoking someone or self-defense, it would not have gotten her ex convicted for the millionth time. Period. It's incredibly hurtful to see the narrative twisted in this way, and I feel compelled to speak out because no one should ever be made to feel like they are the perpetrator when they are the victim. Domestic violence is a serious issue, and we should be lifting up those who have suffered, not blaming them. I stand by Tommy because I know the full story, and I've known the full story the whole time. These people have decided to leave out, and I quote, "I don't want to go into details." That is what this person said when talking about Tommy being falsely imprisoned by her ex. Why? Why? Because it would leave people empathizing with Tommy. Instead, this person has exaggerated, lied, left out important information, and continues to create outrage against Tommy because they want revenge. This is the only way they know how to do it, and I want to make something very clear, that the abuse that Tommy endured is real, and she deserves justice and support, not ridicule and not doubt. She definitely does not deserve a reaction channel making a spectacle over something that Tommy has spent years trying to heal from. Having this come to light, speculated about, and joked about has left a bad taste in my mouth, and I'll tell you that for sure.
You know what the crazy thing is with this story between these two? Aylar parallels Chantal in this story so much. Remember, you guys, when Chantal tried to lie for El Stabby about his criminal charges, and then later on it came out that she lied for him. Actually, he did stab 2 people and was sent to prison for that. Amber, I hope you're not blatantly coming on camera and end up making a fool of yourself, and then later on we come to find out that the story was actually true and it happened the way that Jody said. Let's just hope and pray that's not going to happen, Amber. And you better hope that Tommy is not lying to you either. I just wanted to say that.
I have been distant from YouTube already due to the harsh things that have been said and have been lied about. Certain reaction channels have only gotten worse as the time goes on. My channel has been boring. It went through a law, so they've been starving. Because of that, they've lost their minds, and they're actively painting a narrative about Tommy that isn't real, bringing in anonymous strangers to the storyline and believing every word that is being said, all while using the word allegedly. So YouTube terms of service isn't broken by them, and so the law doesn't get involved for actual slander and defamation. If you guys ever wanted to know what slander and defamation looks like, it has been months and months of what Tommy has been experiencing since certain reaction channels found out who she was. This has altered Tommy's life, and I have witnessed it. It has also altered mine. Without revealing how, I'm pretty sure it's apparent. Imagine something like this happening to you. Thank you to those who have been supportive and continue to believe in the truth and don't follow the crowd. I see you, and I'm sorry that the hate and the rumors are louder right now, but I still see you, and I love you dearly. To those spreading misinformation, I hope you take a moment to consider the impact your words have and the harm caused when the real victims are silenced or blamed. It's easy for reaction channels to say whatever they want because they know their words have impact and their audience believes whatever is said to them. This situation just proves it. Tommy was majorly abused, held hostage for hours in a garage with a weapon, and I don't feel comfortable saying what the weapon was, but use your brain for this one, please. And she was finally able to escape, and her ex went to prison for it and now has a felony, but somehow this reaction channel was able to manipulate their audience into believing that Tommy is the abuser. This is why victims do not share their story. And the sad thing is, Tommy didn't share hers. Someone else did. And it wasn't even the right story. It's unfair, it's twisted, and it's morally wrong. This isn't a game. This isn't for money. This isn't for views. This is Tommy's real life that is being ruined, and her mental health is being destroyed. The victim blaming all because people want drama and someone to hate is the grossest thing I've ever seen happen on Girl World. And thank you, Jordy, for reminding me why I hate this community and why I do not belong here anymore. This should have never happened. I should not have had to do this. Tommy should not have had her personal domestic violence abuse story used for views and money on a reaction channel. That's not a reaction. That is downright hatred. And people wonder why I don't want to upload. People wonder why, where I am. Why do I seem so sad every time I come on camera? This is why. Because before it was, Amber, that's so fat. She needs to lose weight. Step on the scale. Step on the scale. But now things are serious. Reaction channels have morphed into something that is despicable. While I'm trying to improve my life and myself as a person and work on my BPD, reaction channels have gotten worse. They're morphing into monsters. I'm not saying all of them because that's not the case, but there are a few. I should not be kicked off of a platform that I have been on for 11 years because I'm this harassed. There's a difference between online hate versus straight up harassment that is destroying mine and my girlfriend's mental health and life. It's not okay. And I don't know what else to say about it. Every time I express myself, I am met with invalidation and I'm gaslighted into feeling this small. I am gaslighted into believing that I deserve this or that Tommy deserves this when we don't. So many of you scream, Tommy isn't good for you, Tommy's gonna hurt you, but it's being screamed by the people who are actively every single day hurting me. You don't care. You don't care about me. You don't care about my well-being. You get high off of the drama that my life brings to your channel, so you get views. And for the people watching and engaging in this sort of behavior, you are just as awful. This is a girl that is hurt. This is a girl that has been beaten and beaten and beaten, and it's like, it only just keeps getting worse. And I personally don't know how much more I can take. I truly don't. This sort of behavior should not be allowed on YouTube. And I really hope that one day my voice is heard.
So basically, yeah, guys, that was the response from ALR on behalf of Tommy. Like I said, Tommy should be the one answering to these charges, even though Tommy doesn't owe anybody anything. But you guys know how it is in Girl World. They find out something, you have to do those YouTube videos and explaining, especially with Tommy. This is her reputation. And she should be the one doing this, sitting next to ALR and explaining everything. Because majority of people are not going to take ALR seriously. People need to hear from Tommy. And I know she's not a public figure. Unfortunately, you became a public figure when you guys paraded around with you guys being together. She made you a public figure, unfortunately for you, Tommy. So hopefully, next video, ALR, my advice is have Tommy explain the situation herself instead of you talking for her. Well, that's all I got, you guys. I will see you next time.